Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. In the last segment of the video, we already started talking about JavaScript operators and we already covered different arithmetic operators and comparison operators. If you missed that video, you can find the link of that video in the description. And now in this video, we'll continue to talk about remaining operators and we'll start with logical operators. Now these logical operators are used to perform operation on the boolean values or used to combine multiple conditions that are written using comparison operators. Now we have three main types of logical operators. The first we have logical AND operator, which is simply written using 2 ampersand sign. It will give a result as true when both the operands are true, and it will give a result as false when one of the operand is false or both the operand is false. You can also relate logical AND operator with a logical AND gate, which has a truth table, or we can say a state table, which specify the output or the result based on the operand. Like we have true, then we have logical AND operator, then we have again true as second operand. Now this will give a result as true. Or if I make the one of the values as false, like we have false, now it will give a result as false. Or if I make the first operand as false, now again it will give result as false. Now when we both operand as false, the output will be false. Or if I simply take an example, like we have console log true, then we have logical AND operator, then we have second operand as true. If I run the program, we have true as output. Or if I make one of the operand as false, now this will whole expression gives result as false. Or we also make the both the operands are false, result will be false. Or we can simply use comparison operators, like we have 5 greater than 3, then we have logical AND operator, then we have 6 is greater than 4. Now these both the operands are true, so our whole expression gives result as true. Or if I make the one of the operands is false, like we have 6 is less than 4, now the whole expression become false. Now the next we have logical OR operator, which is simply written using 2 pipe symbols, or we can say 2 straight lines, which will give result as true when both the operands or one of the operands are true, and it will only give the result as false when both the operands are false. Okay. You can also relate logical OR operator with a logical OR gate, which has a truth table or 4 states which specify the result based on their operands. Like we have true, and then we have logical OR, then we have second operand as true. Now this will give as result as true. Now again, when we have one of the operand is false, like first operand as false, now this expression again gives as a true value. Now we have second operand as false, same it will give as true value. Or when we both the operands are false, now our expression result will be false. Okay. Now if I take a simple example, like we have true, then we have logical OR, and then we have second operand as true. Now run the program, we have true as output. Even I make one of the operand is false, now this will give as a result as true. It will give only result as false when we are both the operands are false. Or like same as we can also use comparison operator, like we have 5 is greater than 3, then we have logical OR, then we have 6 is not equal to 6. Now this will give result as true, like 5 is greater than 3 is condition true. Or if I make both the condition false, now this will give result as false. And last in the logical operator, we have logical NOT operator, which is simply represent using an exclamation mark, which will simply negate the operand or simply invert the operand. Like when we have true value and we have a NOT operator like this, now this will give a result as false, and we have a false value with a NOT operator, now this will give a result as true value. Logical NOT operator is a unary operator which is required only one operand to perform the operation. Like here, if I take simple example, like we have console log, then NOT operator, and then true value. Now this whole expression gives as result as false. Or if I use false instead of true, now this will give as true as result. Now if I use two not operator inside the result, now this result will be converted to false again. Like here, for the first not operator, the result converted to true, and if I use second expression, now this will convert it to false value. If I run the program, you see we have false as a result. Now this expression mostly is used in conditional statements, or like we have if statements or loop statement, like we have for loop, while loop, etc. Like if I take a simple example, like if we want to grade a student based on their marks, like we have to give the B grade when the marks is between 45 and 75. We just have to write if marks is greater than 45, then we have logical AND operator, then we have marks is less than 75, or then student have B grade. Or like arithmetic operator, we can also combine logical operator into single expression, like we have console log, not operator, then we have true value, then we have AND operator, then we have 5 is greater than 3, then we have simple OR operator and a false value. Now if I run the program, we got the false value. Now in this expression, the NOT operator is the higher precedence than logical AND operator, and logical OR operator is the lowest precedence among these two. So now here first true is converted to false, and here 5 is greater than 3. So now this whole expression become false. Then we have false and OR and then false. Now this OR operation, both the values are false. Now the result will be false. If I make this value as true, our result will be true. Okay, now this expression gives as false, and false or true gives result as true. Or if you want to change the precedence of the operator, we can simply use parenthesis. Like we have 5 greater than 3 and a true value inside the parenthesis. Now it will give as result as false, because this result gives as a true result. Now and it convert the value to the false, then we have logical AND operator. So false and logical AND, like we have false, logical AND, now we have true value, it will give result as false. Now these are the basic logical operators. Now there is also one topic that is related to logical operators called as short circuiting. Like we have a variable called x which is initialized to 1, then we have a second variable called z, and we have a simple expression like we have true, then we have logical AND operator, and we have increment x by 1 with the increment operator, and simply log the value of x to the console. We have output as 2. Or if I make the value as false, okay, now if I run the program, we have output as 1. That means our x is not incremented here. So here what happen is, if you remember, we know that the result of the AND operator will be false when one of the operand is false or both the operand is false. And so while executing this program, when JavaScript encounters the first operand as a false value, in advance JavaScript knows that the whole expression result will be false, so it will not execute the second operand, and it will only consider the first operand, and the whole expression result will be false. So that's why our second operand is not get executed, and the x value is remain as it is. Now the same as we have for the OR operator. Like here we have the incremented the value by 1 to the 2, or if I make the value as true, we have output as 1. Like here we know that the result of the OR operator will be true when one of the operands is true or both the operand is true. So while executing this program, when JavaScript encounters the first operand that is true, so in advance JavaScript knows that the result of this expression will be true, so it will not execute the second statement, and so this whole expression only becomes true. So now the value of x will not get incremented. So I hope you understand the concept of short circuiting. So we'll move to the next type of operator called as bitwise operator. Bitwise operators are used to manipulate individual bits of integer or perform operation onto the integer at binary level. In which first we have bitwise AND operator, which is written using single ampersand sign. It will simply perform bitwise AND operation onto the number. It will simply perform bitwise operation on two numbers, and it will set the bit to the 1. It will set the bit to the 1 when we have both the bits are 1. and it will set bit to the 0 when we have one of the bits are 0 or both the bits are 0. Like we have simple example like 4 and 5. If I run the program, we have 4 as output. Like here we have binary representation of 4 as 100, and for 5 we have 101. So if we perform bitwise AND operation, so last bit 0 and 1 will become 0. So now the second bit 00 becomes 0, and for the first bit the 11 becomes as 1. So now this result will be converted to decimal and our result will be 4. Or if I take a simple another example, like we have 4 and 3, now this gives as result as 4. Or we have another example like we have 6 and 3, now this will give as 2 as output. 6 will be represented as 1110 and 3 will be represented as 011. So for the last bit we have 01, so bit will be set as 0, then we have 11, so the bit will be set as 1, and last we have 10, so bit will be set as 0. Now this again converted to decimal, which is gives as result as 2. The next we have bitwise OR operator, which is written using single pipe sign or straight line. It will set the bit to the 1 when we have one of the bits are 1 or both the bits are 1, or it will set the bit to the 0 when we have both the bits are 0. Like we have example 5 or 3. Now this will give output as 7. Like we have binary representation of 5 101, and for 3 we have 011. Now the last bit we have 11, so our last bit set to the 1. Now for the 01 it will set to the 1. Now again 10 it will again set bit to the 1. Now again this will convert it to decimal and output will be 7. Or if I take another example, like we have console log 4 and we have 1. Now this will use output as 5. Like we have 100 for 4 and 001 for the 1. Now we can simply perform bitwise OR operation, like we have 01 gives as 1, 00 gives as 0, and last 10 gives as 1. So now this converted to decimal, which is gives output as 5. Okay, the next we have XOR operator, which is used to perform exclusive OR operation onto the numbers, which is written using up arrow symbol, and it will give or set the bit 1 when we have different bits, like first bit as 0 and second bit as 1. Now it will set bit to the 0 when we have both the bits are 1 and both the bits are 0. Like we have example, like we have 4 XOR 3. Now this will give as 7. Like we have binary representation for 4 is 100, for 3 we have 11. Now the last both the bits are different, so last bit will be set to the 1. Again we have for the second last bits are different, so we'll set to the bit to the 1. Now again we have 10, so bits again set to the 1. Now it will give a result to the decimal as 7. Or we have simple another example, like we have 7 XOR 7. If I run the program, we have 0 as output. Like for the 7 we have 111. Now again we have 111. Now both the bits are same for the last bit, so out the bit will be set as 0. Again we have set the bit as 0 and set the bit as 0. Now the result will be converted to decimal. We have 0 as output. Now always remember that when we use same number exclusive OR operation, the result will be 0. The next we have complement operator, which is represent using this symbol, which is if we press shift key and the key below the escape key. Now this will simply flip the bit of the number. Like we have a number called, let's say we have complement operator and then we have 7. Now we have binary representation of 7 as 1. So now the result of the complement operator, we have flip bits, like 1 will be converted to 0. So again 1 will be converted to 0 and again we have 0. Or if I make another example, like we have 5 which will represent as 101. Now here 1 converted to 0. Now 0 will be flipped to the 1 and 1 again converted to 0. Now if I run the program, we have -6 as output. Inside the JavaScript, the number is using 64 bit, and here we just simply represent the number in 3 bits. So number will be represent like this, like we have 000, then we have 101. So now we flip the bits, the result will be 111, then we have 010. Now this whole number is represent using 2's complement number. That's why we got the result as -6. So you don't have to worry about this 2 complements number. You just have to remember how this complement operator works. So now we have another operator which is called as left shift operator, which is just simply shift the bit to the left side by the specified number of times and fill the zeros to the right side. Like we have a simple example, like we have 4 left shift operator and we want to shift the bits by 2. If I run the program, we have 16 as output. Like here, we have binary representation of 4 as 100. If I shift the bit to the by 2, then we have a 20 at the last to this binary expression. So we'll got 16. Or we can also predict the output of the left shift operator using a simple formula. Like we have a into 2 raised to b. It will give the output same as left shift operator. Like if I use console log, then we have 4 as a, then we have 2, and we have exponential operator, and then we have b as 2. If I run the program, which also gives as 16 as output. Or if I use another value, like we have 5, b as 3. Okay, if I run the program, we have 40 as output. Now the same as we have right shift operator, which is simply shift the bits to the right side by specified number of times and fill the 0 to the left. Like we have example like 4, then we have right shift operator, then we have 2, and it will give result as 1, like we have 100 for the 4. If I shift bits to the right side, we have 000, like we have right shift, like we have 2 zeros onto the left, and now these 2 zeros will be cancelled out. So now the result will be 1. We can also predict the output of the right shift operator using a formula called a divided by 2, then we have 2 raised to b. Or if I another value, like here we have 5 and 3 floating point. Now we have floating point result for the division. We can simply use parseInt to get only integer part, like this. Now we have result as same as right shift operator. So now these are the basic bitwise operator that are you use in your programs. And last we have some special type operator, in which first we have instance of operator. It will give result in a boolean form, or we can say in true or false form. Now this will give a result as true when the object is instance of the class, or gives as false when the object is not instance of class. Like we have simply a class called student, and then we create a simple object, like we have object using new operator, then we have student. Okay, now we simply use instance of operator, like we have object, then we have instance of, then we have student class. If I run the program, it will give true. Now here our object variable is the instance of our student class. Or if I make another class called as car, okay, and create its object, like we have c equal to new car, and if I use c is instance of student, now this will use as false value, because c is not instance of the student class, it is instance of the car class. Like here, if I change the class to car, now it will use result as true. Okay, the next we have type of operator. Now it will simply gives the type of the value or the variable, like we have console log, then we have type of, then we have 23. Now this is simple number, so our output is number. Or we can use a string like here hello. Now this will output as a strings. And last we have special operator which is called as ternary operator, and which is required 3 operands to perform an operation. Like here we have simple syntax for this, like we have value 1, then we have question mark, then we have value 2, then we have colon, and we have value 3. Okay, now here, now in this syntax, when the result of value 1 is true, the value 2 will be executed, and when the value 1 will be false, the value 3 will be executed. Like here we have simple example, like we have true, and we have question mark. I simply print a string called yes when the result is true, and print a no when the result will be false. If I run the program, we have yes as output because we have operand as true, or if I make the operand as false, we have output or the evaluate the second operand. So this is simple basic operators inside the JavaScript. So if you have any question related to the operators inside the JavaScript, you can comment down below. So if you like this video, you can also like and share or subscribe the channel. So thanks for watching. See you in the next video.